Yeah, I don't know what it's called, but in Swedish, I don't know what you say, but it's like called like a little bit of shit, you know, helps us, cleans the stomach, you know.
Right.
You just Peter, Darkane, and yeah. ABBA, Roxette. You know, you could at least wish for it, you know.
DJ Bobo, do you know?
DJ Bobo, yeah. The German guy.
No, and actually he's from Switzerland.
He's from Switzerland, but he's famous in Germany, unfortunately. Hey there, this is Peter Wildoer, or Peter Wildo, as I'm normally called in Sweden, from Darkane and the James LaBrie solo brand, and currently on tour with Soilwork and Darkane, but here I am, Peter Wildo. Actually, I started playing the drums because of my grandma. She wanted me to play the drums, and I was only 5 when I got like a toy drum kit. So she told me, you know, to start playing the drums. And I was like 5 years old, so I didn't think about playing any instrument at that point. But yeah, I kind of smashed that little kit till there was the only pieces left of it. So. And then like 2 years later, when I turned 7, she got me like a real drum kit, like a used one, but like hand painted. And I just started playing. I thought it was like kind of cool. I think a lot of kids, when they start playing the drums, it's like, you know, you're actually not playing melodies or songs, you're more playing beats. You know? So I really felt that, you know, after learning like the basic beat, you know, when you've been playing that for a while, you know, you got to have someone to play with. So later on, I started practicing a bit more when I was about 18, maybe 17 till 19. I started practicing quite a lot, actually. And I'm still using all that stuff I learned back then, because since then, it's like there is so little time to actually sit down and practice. We played in our hometown last year, and you know, I went like in between two songs, just hold on, you know, to Lawrence, the vocalist, I think it was, and I just, you know, had to move my snare drum, and I moved it like, you know, like. It's like maybe a millimeter, maybe. And then he said, wow, did everybody see that? You know, now it's going to be way better to play those drums, you know. So I think that's very much about drummers too. They kind of get picky with how they set up things. But I saw this Dave Weckl, I think it was a Natural Evolution DVD or something. But he said, you know, just bring out a chair, you know, and make it feel comfortable. Just put your pedals or your hi-hat and maybe your double pedals I use, your bass drum and nothing else. Just leave everything out, you know, and just sit down, you know, and just feel the pedal and the height of the chair, you know, and start with that. Not even a snare drum or anything, just start with the pedals. And when you have that down, you know, I just felt where I wanted to have my tom. I just, you know, hit the drumstick in thin air, and just, here I want the first tom, so. And then you have to solve it in some way, you know, if your tom is mounted on your kick drum and you can't go there, yeah, mount it on a, you know, clamp or something instead. Just to make the tom go where you want, and you shouldn't, the limit shouldn't be the hardware allowing you just to have your toms like here or whatever, you know, just, you should have it where you want to, and then just make the hardware work that way so you can actually have it where it feels comfortable. My setup has been quite much the same for at least 15 years now, I guess. I'm not the guy, there are a lot of guys that, you know, they changed, you know, like a few years ago it was really popular to change the first two toms, like the rack toms and stuff like that. And some people like, you know, having a different setup every night just to make sure that they, you know, keep focus in a way. And I always have that anyway when we're like playing as an opener or something, or you have to use someone else's kit. Like for example, on this tour, it's been the same thing. So, but when I have my own kit, it's quite much the same. I started quite early also having like a floor tom and a little snare drum to my left. I actually have quite a lot of stuff to my left because I think it's, since I don't play open-handed, it's like quite great to have the possibility of actually playing on your left side a lot of stuff because your left hand is like open there. I think, you know, trying to be creative, it's, for me, there are two basics for me. I would say the first basic is just the gear. I mean, to me, I think it's It's if you have not so many creative rudiments and stuff to play, if you have a lot of gear, you can actually just play single strokes, just hit around, and it will sound different. So that's the easiest way of making it sound creative, if you want to say that's creative. But it's at least, it's like when a painter, at least you have a lot of more colors, you can add to it. That's one way to having because for the basics, when I play with most of the bands, a lot of the time it's mostly based around, I would say, single strokes, maybe some doubles, some paradiddles every now and then, but the main thing is normally singles, and then you combine it with your feet if it's like progressive metal or rock drumming, I would say. And then definitely the gear helps you out, definitely, I would say. But then also trying to be creative playing wise, Antonio Sanchez said a really cool thing when I was to clinic with him, and he said that when he was playing in school, that was at Berkeley, so this guy, his teacher came up to him, and he was in bop class playing bop music. And back then he had like a double pedal, and he brought his extra toms, his double pedal and everything in there, and just, built the whole kit. And then the teacher who was in class, when they were playing the song, he started to get rid of all the stuff. He took away the cymbal stands, he took off the left pedal of the drum, and everything. And then he was there just with a snare drum, hi-hat, and a bass drum in the end. And the teacher just yelled, like, drum solo. And he was like, what? I don't have any gear anymore. Yeah. But you're supposed to be able to play it on a snare and a hi-hat and a kick drum. And even though that's kind of a harsh way, but and that's not really my kind of thing, because I have not like a super big drum kit, but I have quite a lot of stuff. But I think in a way it's true. You got to be creative also with your playing, of course. And listening to other kinds of music always brings something to the table, like, oh, this was a cool thing to do. Maybe I can involve that in my kind of metal drumming and stuff like that. Yeah, I try to think it's as melodies, especially when I do the drum fills and stuff like that. And I kind of have my, the signature thing that I got from Sean Reynolds and Gene Hoglan in the beginning with the, playing the bells and stuff like that. At some point when I listen to some of the records, I just feel like, oh, I've been doing that stuff for so many years now, and I got to come up with something new. And I think when I did the Static Impulse album in 2010 with James LaBrie, the first album I played on with James LaBrie, I just got a totally new approach and just wanted to approach things differently, and it wasn't as fast tempos as with Darkane and stuff, and it was a bit more song orientated, you could say. So I kind of changed my thought of how to compose drum parts at that point, and also for the new album with James, Impermanent Resonance, and the new Darkane album, The Sinister Supremacy. For those three albums, I kind of changed, at least what I feel myself. I feel that's the best drumming I've recorded so far. I think it's a bit more interesting and a bit more, a little bit outside of the box kind of thinking, And there are like blush stuff on the new, like Tony Williams, Vinnie Colaiuta fills and stuff on the new Darkane album, even though it's kind of hard to get through the guitars and stuff with that stuff. But for me, it feels comfortable just doing something different. And another thing that's really, really creative is normally having like Christopher and Klaus, main songwriters in Darkane, and when they program the drums, they kind of not think always as a drummer, And some of those stuff you hear is like, wow, that's really, really strange and really hard to play probably, but I'm going to do it, So in a way, it's great having also other people programming the stuff you're supposed to play, and then just try to interpret the way that you're actually hearing it or feeling it. So that could also be a very good way of learning, just having someone else, program something for you, and you should try to play it. So, I talked to Devin Townsend once, about when we'd share the tour bus, and I was asking him, how he came up with so many different kinds of albums and stuff like that. And he said, he's mostly inspired by, not by music, but other stuff like, as you said, paintings or books and stuff like that. But drumming-wise, I have to say, I'm still just amazed by what people can do on their instruments, and that's definitely my main influence still, and like a couple of years ago, I met Virgil Donati for the first time, and we've been in contact, and just hearing him talking about how much he practiced and how much, and his views on music and stuff, and his dedication for the instrument, for me, it's an inspiration just listening to that kind of stuff. But I think it's really, really inspiring just having people who really focus on one subject and really get really good at it. For me, that's very inspirational. I studied Indian music for a year, actually, in Sweden. I played tabla drums for a year. And the cool thing about that was, like, all the Indian music, we're talking about the really, really classical Indian music now. There are like, there are ragas, the songs, so to speak, where they're only allowed to play, but they only play like in the morning, in the noon, in the afternoon, in the evening, and during the night. So there are different ragas for different times during the day. There are also different ragas, and everything is like influenced by elephants walking, the wind blowing in a tree, and stuff like that. So that was a different perspective of music for me, definitely. Just to get the sound out of a tabla drum is really hard. Just getting the normal, all that, just getting that into the drumming. And I just remember sitting there with my teacher, and at one point, suddenly, I just felt like, wow, I kind of got it, in a way. Not only the technique of the drums, but also the feel of the actual beat we were playing. And at the same time, when I felt like, yeah, this was actually how it's probably supposed to sound, he just stopped me and he said, this is the way it should sound. This is the way, this is the focus, and this is the mindset you should have all the time when you play. And that was like one of the first kind of, bigger experiences, so to speak, because I felt it, and he actually could also tell at the same point that he immediately felt that this was the way of playing it. It was not that it was technically right, it was more of the feeling of it. And that inspired me a lot, also Indian music, because it's extremely progressive if you look at it rhythmically. It's really, and also how they break things down into like, it's 3, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 2, 2, and stuff like that. It's really interesting how you use the small Lego bricks to big thing, And hope, yeah, man, I tell you about hope. That was in 2003. I got like, first off, I always had a bad back since like 2000. And I've been having it for like 11, almost 12 years. And I've been struggling with it so much. Every morning I woke up, I just, had to lay on my side, put my legs on the ground, just and try to sit up, and it's been that for at least 11 years, And now I figured a way of getting rid of it. So for 2 years now, I've been doing Pilates training, where you actually you do a lot of exercises for your core. For me, it just works. I haven't had a bad back since 2 years now, so that really helped me. And I almost gave up. I just figured, I'm gonna live the rest of my life with constant back pains for every day. That's how it's gonna be, yeah. And a lot of drummers do. And I think it comes a lot from the stomach not being, trained. And you gotta work that stomach, and also the back muscles. And since it took me like half a year, no, not even that, maybe 4 or 5 months, and I could feel that the back pain were going away. And since then, I haven't had a sore back since then. And for the wrists, I had like a big wrist problems for actually a year and a half. So, and we had a lot of shows for the first year, and it just started hurting everywhere. And I couldn't even, hold a fork and a knife in the end. It was so bad, so I couldn't even, make my fingers grab something. And then the hope was also going downhill, of course, because it was, that was a horrible time actually. And I thought, like, what am I gonna do? What else can I do? I thought about maybe, working more in the studio, but just working with the computers and stuff just made it hurt even more. So I took a half a year off and didn't play any drums at all for half a year. And at that point, I actually also changed my grip. And I was holding them quite bad, you know, and I always got blisters and sore fingers here. Not telling everyone that this is the correct grip. I'm not here to tell anyone what's the perfect grip, but this is my grip and how I got rid of my wrist problems. Is that I'm actually holding the stick like this, actually very, very softly. And I've been playing a tour, I've been playing double gigs each night for more than a week now with both Darkane and Wildoer, like really heavy drumming. And the hands are just soft as baby hands still. So playing double gigs every night, no gloves, nothing, you know. And it's thanks to this grip. I just hold it here, and doesn't even squeeze it. Just hold it. I can barely just hold the stick in here, and my other finger is just, it's going to be like a triangle up here between those three fingers, and this finger just more or less, you know, makes the stick not move this way around. And then I use these three fingers mainly to control the stick. And so the grip is like really loose. You can see also the pointing finger is like, it's just on top of it, more controlling it so it doesn't go like this. And since then, it's been just, you know, different way of playing. And you can hit really hard, but it's very, very loose. A lot of fingers and wrists, you know, but just make it, you know, very, very soft, you know. And I barely hold the stick, actually. It's no cramp or anything. I just hold it very, very softly. And that really helped me, you know, after that, when I had my wrist problems. I guess I had like a year when it still was hurting a bit, but since then, I haven't had any problems, actually. And one good thing is actually to play a little bit of drumming every day. Because what I notice is that if I don't play the drums for a couple of weeks or maybe a month or anything, it could be, when I start playing again, you can sometimes feel that, you know, the muscle memory gets lost quite fast and stuff like that. So if you can play like for 10 minutes each day, just on a practice pad, just, you know, doubles or singles or paradiddles, and that's it, just to make your hands move a little bit every day, then it's worth it. It's going to be good. I want to thank you guys that came to the shows, the Wildoer and Darkane shows and this tour, and hope to see you on tour at another point and maybe some drum clinics, who knows. So everybody out there, stay metal.